Welcome back. It's time for Tech 24, and joining me in the studio is Charlotte Lamb, and we're going to head off to Australia. You're part of the world because it's been dominating headlines there. Coming Wednesday, it's going to become the first major democracy to impose a nationwide ban on social media for under 16s. So tell us why everyone's watching this rollout so closely.
Well, Catherine, we're just days away from this extraordinary measure, and it seems like the world is ending. That's if you are an Australian under the age of 16. Take a look.
Teenagers are losing a vital communication tool, and you're celebrating.
TikTok, no Instagram, no Snapchat, not even YouTube.
This place sucks! This place sucks! This place...
This social media ban is not stopping us from seeing the harmful content that they say we are seeing.
You're taking away the way that we communicate with our friends, the way that we feel connected to the world. You're taking away our creative outlet, something that makes us happy.
That's right. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen that Australia's world-first social media ban for under 16s begins Wednesday, December 10. The government says it's about child protection, pointing towards rising online bullying, self-harm content and addictive designs. Platforms big and small from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit and even Twitch are racing to remove under 16 accounts and block new ones. Essentially what will happen from Wednesday is that the country's e-safety commissioner will have to be satisfied with the measures that they're taking or face fines of up to 49.5 million Australian dollars. And the key tool here, Catherine, will be age verification checks. And it's up to basically the platform to insist and implement how they're going to do that.
Now, Charlotte, do you think these teenagers are actually going to respect this ban, or are they going to look for ways to work around it?
Well, that's the big question. And as you can see from that video, they're not happy. And the government has already admitted that it's expecting widespread evasion. But what we're seeing now is that lesser known platforms like Yope and Lemon8, they're becoming some of the most downloaded apps in Australia right now. And before the under 16 profiles are pulled from these main sites, teens are posting hacks on how to dodge age checks. They're swapping VPN advice, or they're simply suggesting taking mum or dad's phone or using the account of an older person.
Now, as we saw there, it's teenagers pushing back, but it's not just them. There are others pushing back as well. Who else is raising concerns?
Well, the tech platforms were hesitant at first, but now they have agreed to comply. And we've seen in some polls that most Australian adults are actually in favour of the ban. But just last week, the High Court, received a formal official complaint, which was brought forward by a group of teenagers represented by a Sydney group called the Digital Freedom Project. And now they're arguing that the ban is unconstitutional because it robs them from the right to political communication. And this group says this is largely happening online now. We're seeing debates played out online. We're seeing most teenagers are getting their news from social media. So they also fear that this ban will push younger teens to more unregulated corners of the internet. And earlier I spoke to the group's president. Take a listen.
Well, look, I believe that the government should not regulate the internet. I believe that there should be a clear separation between the government and the internet. We need the internet to remain free, to remain a free exchange of ideas. So yes, there can be social harms for teenagers, but this should be a paramount parental responsibility, not a responsibility of bureaucrats. So what the government is trying to do is they're trying to scare people, scare parents into believing, oh, you have to support our censorship regime because of, little bit of harms happened here and a little bit of harms happened here. Look, there are going to be harms in society. Now, we want to look at minimising them, okay, but the censorship model of the sledgehammer makes these things worse.
So the president also told me that the High Court has agreed for a directions hearing in February. So after that date, a full hearing date will be set, meaning that this legal battle will continue well after this rollout.
Now, Charlotte, Australia may be the first, but it's clearly not alone here. Other governments also talking about similar bans. So how does this fit into the wider global push to protect young people online?
This is essentially part of a wider rethink of how children should be allowed to use social media. And we heard from Malaysia last week that they're looking at following similar measures like Australia, and that will take place from next year. Others are choosing different tools, rather. We know that in the UK that they've announced an Online Safety Act, which tightens protections for minors. In the US, several states are testing age verification laws, rather. And in Europe, there's a Digital Services Act, which requires platforms to assess and reduce risks for minors, but stops short of a ban. And earlier, I spoke to a professor in information and digital infrastructure at the University of Amsterdam who told me that the big shift in Europe is procedural. Let's have a listen.
I think like one of the most important things is that the real experts, like of the impact on social media for children, they're like getting a voice in this, and also children themselves are getting a voice in this. So there are also opportunities under the DSA for research to be conducted by experts, and to really deliver the evidence that can help that the measures that are taken are actually reasonable, they're proportionate, they're actually helpful. And so that all this stuff is evidence-based, and it's not basically just a kind of reaction to a general feeling of something needs to happen.
So, Catherine, that's why this approach is raising eyebrows, but the Australian government is adamant that it is necessary to protect younger teens.
Charlotte, thank you so much. Very interesting there. And that's all we have time for, but stay with us. After a quick break, we'll be back here with more news.